Welcome to Crafting Your Next Move.
Hello and welcome to Crafting Your Next Move with Lori Kraft, associate broker with the Kraft team at Origin Realty Group. Lori is a top producing Houston realtor with more than 15 years of experience helping clients buy and sell homes across the greater Houston area. Known for her honest advice and boutique approach, she and her team combine cutting edge marketing with good old fashioned service to deliver results that speak for themselves. I'm Kevin Rosenquist, and in this first episode, Lori will explain how sellers position their homes for maximum return in today's market. Lori, great to see you.
It was good seeing you.
So before we dive in, could you tell us a little about your background? What led you into real estate and what inspired you to start the Kraft team?
I'm going to try to condense this for you. So I have a random background. So I started in education. I taught high-risk, high-need kids. And then I moved that into a degree in, I was a clinical social worker in a nutshell. So I did private therapy with individuals, families, and children for 10 years. And then I had a kid of my own and I wanted to stay home. So when I got back into the world of working, I wanted to do something where I could still serve and still be in that service role, but also really do something I loved. And I love homes. I love the idea of putting the right person with the right house in the right environment and really creating a whole new beginning for them. And that's kind of why I came up with my slogan, Crafting New Beginnings, because that's what it is for most people. It's whether it's an investment property or it's their first home or it's downsizing. It's all about a new beginning. It's you're doing something new. So that's why.
I like that. That's really cool. And yeah, I mean, a new home it's a big life change, right? Like, even if you're moving from one house to another, it's still a very big shift in your life.
Right. That's why people only usually do it every 5 to 7 years.
Yeah.
Even with our very, very mobile society, we don't see people moving every 2 years because it's dramatic.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. I hate the actual physical act of moving. I love new home. That's great. But the actual physical act of moving
actually putting it in a box, putting it on the truck.
It's exhausting.
Hoping things don't break. Yes.
You've worked through a lot of market cycles over the years, obviously. How would you describe the current Houston market? And what do you think has changed the most for sellers since the boom years of 21 and 22?
Well, that's a lot to unpack right there. But I'll start by saying every market's unique, right? Even we call it the COVID years, but every space along that line was just a little bit different. This market is nothing short of chaotic. That is the best way to explain it. Because what is true today will not be true tomorrow. Yeah. And what is true tomorrow will not be true in a week. We are dealing with market volatility. We are dealing with a lot of emotional reactivity too. Because we have a lot of people who did go through the COVID years. Maybe they bought. Maybe all their friends sold. And so they have that in their head. And they want not just what their friends sold it for or what they bought it for, but they want that plus 20% because that's what makes sense to them, because that's what was happening during those COVID years. And at the same time, we now have a market shift because we have rates that jump through the roof, at least to the buyer, they jump through the roof, right? Mm-hmm. So we're no longer 3%. Now we're not even 6%, we're 7%. So think about that. That's a doubling. And then on top of that, you have, in some cases, a quadrupling of insurance. You have a doubling or tripling of taxes. So all of these things are very daunting to buyers. And then they fed the media spiel, which says everything's crashing, right? It's a fire sale everywhere, which is not true. So we still don't have inventory. We have more than we had in COVID, but we still, in many parts of this country, don't have the inventory levels we had before COVID. And in Texas, that's true. We don't. So we still have very, very low inventory. And then we have very, very high prices. So buyers are pulling back. And here's the real tricky business here. Sellers don't have to sell. They have a lot of equity in their homes.
Yep.
And if they purchased in that time frame, some of them have wrap your mind around this, under 2%.
Yeah, I know some people.
And that to me is stunning. So
Stunning.
if you're sitting on that, it's free money, right? You're not spending a lot to stay in your house. If you're able to absorb the increases in taxes and insurance, which most people are, if you're able to do that, then why would you sell?
Right.
You have to have a real urge to sell. So it makes for a volatile market. And I hate the word stagnation, but it's a stagnant market.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, in Houston, booming place, like booming city. I mean, at least it has been for a while. I mean, especially my in-laws live in Spring, Texas, and so
it's right down the road from me.
yeah, they are like, and I mean, so we've been out there, we've talked to them, and it just in what they've seen in the past 10 years since they've been there has been astounding.
It's craziness.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that becomes a very big challenge, both for realtors, for sellers, and buyers and their agents. It's just a very challenging. I guess that's a better word. It's a challenging market.
Right. So when you sit down with a homeowner who's getting ready to list, where do you start? What information or insight helps you shape the right pricing and market strategy from day one?
It should always be about the client. Always. So your starting off point is what matters to you, Mr. Seller. Why are you selling? And how much do you feel? Because there's a difference between what do you actually need to net and what do you want to net? Totally different question. Is it to where you are going to have to sell or you're going to end up going down the short sale foreclosure track? That's a very different type of sale. So you start with what matters most to the client, and then you go from there.
Many sellers think they can, test a high price and just drop it later if they have to. How does that backfire in today's environment?
Okay, I really like that question. That's an awesome question because yes, 100%. That is exactly what every seller will tell me. Well, you know what, Lori, if I price it here, then I don't allow myself room for negotiation. So I want to price it here and then bring it down. And okay, no, in no market is that a good idea. Even in the COVID years, what you would do is you price within the high end and the low end, price somewhere in that grouping, what's actually sold. And by the way, what your neighbor said he sold his house for is not usually what he actually sold his house for.
Mm-hmm.
It's a hard thing to acknowledge, but your neighbor will lie. So just know that and don't think that's the actual price. Look at the sold data. So when you're looking in that window, that's where you want to list, is right in that window. And even in COVID, if you were above that in value, what's going to happen is you're going to get a ton of offers.
Yeah, you're going to get bidding more.
Yeah. And let's face it, in COVID, everybody got bidding more. It was just
right.
But even today, if you price right, you still can get a bidding war. There are places in the Midwest that are doing that. Here in Houston, we have pockets that will still do that. So price in there. Now, what happens if you price at the top? Well, I want you to kind of frame it for how people look at houses. So if you're looking at a house on Zillow, because that is the world's largest search engine. So you're looking on Zillow, you have a price range that you're looking at. And you have a mental expectation of what a house in that price range looks like because you've been looking for a while and you know what they all look like. So if you're looking in that price point and this house is, pricing for that cushion, it's not going to match that high-end price point that buyer's looking at. So they automatically swipe on by. Like, what? That's a joke. They're not worth that. They don't even look at you. And if you are priced where they're looking, but it's not fitting what they expect, you will never get a phone call. You will never get a phone call. And if you're priced too high, no one's ever going to see your house.
Yeah.
They're not looking for you. So you automatically lose your best buy by doing that. If your house is worth more, you will get more because there will be more. Yeah. If your house is worth pretty close to what you're listing it for, you're going to get a great offer in the first 2 weeks. Not a showing, an offer. If you don't have showings by the second day on market, you've got a problem, and it's pricing.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I didn't think about that from the the search, the Zillow search, if you price it wrong, because they have a budget and they have an idea of what they're used to seeing in that budget. If you're completely out of whack on that, yeah, you're not going to either show up or you're not going to get any interest. That's a really good point.
I'm going to piggyback on that because right now, as you said, this is a different market, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are chasing the market down. Nobody likes to hear that, but it is the truth. So what you have in place is you have a snowball, right? There's a snowball rolling downhill, but it looks like a glacier. So you can't really tell how the ball is rolling and how fast it's going because you only see sold data after it's closed. So it's under contract for 30 days and then you get that information. And what was true 30 days ago is not true today. So honest and truly, I talked about that framework, that window. You're going to price at the low end of the market, or you can look at the higher end if your house is fabulous and beautiful. Take 5% off. Because by the time you list, that's where the market is. And if you are chasing that snowball downhill, you are never catching it. You're just going to be taking it off market, relisting, tweaking the listing, redoing staging, redoing pictures, and the ball is always moving ahead of you. You've got to get ahead of the snowball so you get caught up in it. So I hope that's a really good picture because that's kind of what I see in my head.
Yeah, no, I see it too. I can see the snowball. Let's talk about presentation. Everyone, professional photos, obviously very important, especially to your point about Zillow and the listings and all that. You got to grab people. What other, touch-ups, what other specific updates tend to give sellers the best return without overspending?
There's no question. Number one is paint. Because paint look like a new house. So
fresh paint does amazing things, doesn't it?
Biggest bang for your buck. Next to that, I'd say is either a refinish or a new door. You get 100% return on a new door. Isn't that crazy?
Really?
But it matters. Yes, that's the biggest thing. Make sure your entryway shines like a new penny. Don't put too much junk there. If you got all this decoration and everything, people can't see past it and it collects dust. You want it to be clean, maybe a couple of plants for some reason, yellow flowers, some houses, I don't know why, but that is true. So there's my tip for the day. Get some yellow flowers and landscaping. Because if you drive up to a house and the yard isn't mowed or it's got a lot of weeds in the beds, bushes are dying, there's no color, it looks like nobody's taking care of the house.
Right.
They make an impression of your property in exactly 1 minute. That's all you have. Once they cross that threshold, they already have in their head their idea of your house. You can't lose them at the door. So that's my tip.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. First thing people see in any scenario, you want that to be impressive.
Exactly.
How important is timing right now? Are there certain windows in the year or even days of the week when listings perform better, particularly out there in Houston?
Yes and no. So I will say COVID ruined everything for everybody. There's no COVID.
That's a mouthful right there.
Everybody's home. So you didn't have to do the agrarian calendar where people started school in the end of August or mid-August and went to May. That just got thrown out the window. But it depends on the market. So if I'm in a 55 and up community, I don't care when I list. Doesn't matter. If I am in a neighborhood where you see lots of school-age children, it matters a lot. So your best market in terms of high dollar is, honest to God, I've done the stats on it, is going to be April and May. They close the highest dollar and the fewest days. So the worst times to list in, or at least our area of the world, is going to be September, because what happens is everybody's settled. They've already settled in. Now, it's also for a buyer out there, that's time to get a deal. You don't need to have a kid enrolled in a specific school because you have private schooling, or you don't have kids yet, or you're already empty nesting. Go look at houses in September. Because if you're still on market in September, you are going to be very negotiable. Yeah. So September's a great month. The other one is February. And here's why. For some reason, December is a big closing month. People love to get in houses before the end of the year. January is the rollover from December. So the ones that couldn't close in December but got under contract will roll into January. When do the Christmas card bills come? And then everybody's like, oh, we can't afford a new house this year. You spent way too much money at Round Top. And if you're from Houston, you know what that means. So that is February, September, worst months. So if you can afford to not list then, don't. If you're a buyer, buy then.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to interrupt for 1 second.
Go ahead.
One argument I would say against that thinking is you're not going to have any competition because September and February also has the least number of listings.
Yeah.
So there's that bonus to it. But
yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. We talked about online listings. I'm curious about your opinion on social media. Do you feel like that drives business? And if so, what are some of the things you and your team do to make a home stand out in the digital world?
Well, if you're not on social media, you're not selling your house. That all the MLSs are direct drives, right? So they're getting in those big websites. You've got your search engines like Zillow and Realtor.com and Homes.com. Some of the big ones. I mean, Compass is even talking about doing their own IDX feed. So, I mean, you've got that. But do you know, I was going to ask you, see if you could answer the question. Do you know what the biggest driver of home sales is outside of your IDX feeds?
Is it social media?
Huh?
Okay.
Guess which one?
Well, my wife's a realtor, so I'm gonna say Instagram.
That is exactly right.
Yeah,
100% right. Just followed very shortly by TikTok. So if you
very visual platforms,
very visual and a lot of movement, right? They like to see movement. So it's our buyer pool, and I'm going to tell you, don't rule out your Gen X. They have the most discretionary income of any age group. Everybody thinks it's the boomers. It's not. It's your little hoarding Gen Xers. They have all the money, and they will downsize. They're at that. A lot of your older Gen X is already looking at retirement. So they're thinking along those lines. And they love TikTok. I don't know why. It's my group. We love it. We love that. So when you're interviewing your realtors, for listings, one of the things you need to ask them is to show you their social media postings for houses. Because they should have some videos on there. They should have some cute little shorties. They should be able to show you their value in that they have followers or people that actually look at them. By the way, followers don't mean as much on social media for selling houses because the algorithm will pick you up. But your realtor should know that. They should know about that. You want different types of social media production. Like YouTube likes a very slick, pretty video.
Yep.
They want it edited. They want it to look clean. They want it to look high end. And so you're going to get your professional videographers or your lifestyle videographers if you have a very high end home. Those are going to go on YouTube, and you're going to blast that out to every social media site you got. TikTok is great for your mid range, and right now in Harris, we're looking at a mid range is probably around 400, maybe even the 300s, high 300s. Up into the 800, 900 range. TikTok loves you, and if you're giving them some love back, you will get calls off of TikTok. So that's a good one. Instagram goes without saying. You better be on Instagram. You better be doing Reels. And you want to ask your agent to show you what they do on those platforms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know that there's a lot of success on Instagram. And again, it's visual. It's video and photos, so you have that bonus too. Whereas TikTok is just video, right. YouTube is just video, so there's definitely an advantage there. For someone thinking about selling, maybe feeling uncertain about where to start, what's one smart move they can make right now to prepare for a successful sale?
I would say before you even call a realtor, have your best friend that will tell you the truth, the one that has no filter. Have them walk through your house with a buyer's eye, and don't get your feelings hurt, because they're going to say things like, your dog chewed up all of this. I would never buy the house. This looks dirty. You cannot sell this house. Your carpet doesn't match your paint. It looks weird. Your countertops need replaced. This is so 2001. Go walk through your house with that guy. Then what you're going to want to do is those basics. You're going to want to paint. The biggest bang for your buck, honest to God, is a good, deep clean by a professional company.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to scrub your baseboards like your life depends on it, because people look at that.
Yeah, baseboards. My wife has said that before. Baseboards are a big thing.
And people get grossed out by it.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
They get gross, right?
because it's
You,
gross.
you have pets, you have kids, they just get nasty.
Oh, they do. And dogs run their mouth along the edge of stuff, and then it's just ew.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing you want to do is get somebody who's not nose blind to your house. That is
Yeah.
the number one thing that kills a sale. Smell.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. That's a hard one, because no one wants to tell
Yeah.
someone that their house stinks.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Exactly. But it usually does.
That usually
So
does.
there's usually some kind of smell. And there's different methods for addressing that. I will tell you the worst, most difficult smell to address is smoke.
Yeah.
Once it's in there because it permeates sheetrock, and then your buyer is another smoker. So
Mm-hmm.
you kind of got to know it. But that's my best tip for that.
Yeah. I love it. All right. Well, that's it for our first episode of Crafting Your Next Move. What's that?
I said, awesome. Got one in the books.
You got one in the books. Yeah. It's our first episode of Crafting Your Next Move with Lori Craft. Thanks for being here. She's the associate broker of the craft team at Origin Realty Group. If you're thinking about selling your home in the greater Houston area or just want to understand the market before you make a move, you can reach Lori and her team at craftrealtyteam.com. And don't forget, subscribe to our channel, leave us a review. We got lots of great stuff coming your way, all about Houston real estate. Lori, great meeting you. Great chatting with you. Looking forward to continuing our conversations.
Me too. Have a good one.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.